Good morning. Hello, everybody. Sunday morning. The rain has finally stopped, and I am so glad and the water is going down in our backyard over where we live. I'm at my house, and I'm out in the kitchen. James is taking a nap, so I'm going to talk a little while and tell you some stories. I was watching that old me that's 80 years old, that nice gentleman with the beard that when he started his YouTube, he planned it for like 3 months. Well, I never planned anything, but the Lord takes care of it. So Philippians, the fourth chapter, the 6th verse says, this is one of my favorite scriptures, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And that's what I've always done. I'm going to tell you all about some of the houses I've lived in since I got married to number one, Buddy Baird, who we called Poss, the father of my children, the twins and Kimberly. And of course, we adopted Dennis, and he's grown up. He's a grandpa himself now. But when we got out of the Navy and moved back to Indiana in a 49 Ford, loaded down we carried a playpen on top of the car, and I had quilts, and wherever we would stay, the twins would sleep in the playpen. I'd throw blankets down in the playpen, and that was their bed. So when we came home, we lived with his mother for a couple of 3 weeks till he found a job in a bakery. And the boss was a good boss, but we had to rent just a little old place in the project, which was terrible because, well, they charged you according to what you made, but there was thieves out there in the project for, people that don't make much money, public housing, and they stole my quilts right off the line. Well, now, Buddy's boss at that time, when he was working in the bakery, owned a shotgun house down on Beeler Street. You know what a shotgun house is? Well, you could shoot a shotgun, they'd go all the way through, because the rooms, it was like 4 rooms. The front room, and then a second bedroom, and another bedroom. The living room was first, then 2 bedrooms, and then the kitchen in the very back. And it had a yard, and that lot was only 30 foot wide. But the house wasn't that wide either, and it was about to fall down. It was built up off the ground, and we spent quite a bit of time there, summer and winter. But to keep the electric running in that old house, I had to if the electric went out and the fuse blew, I just put a penny in the fuse, took the fuse out, put a penny, and then I'd have electric again. I found out that was so dangerous, you could have burnt your house down. I didn't know it, but God took care of us. He really did. And in the winter, it didn't have any underpinning, and so the water would freeze, and Buddy would crawl under the house and thaw them out with like a blowtorch thing, and then we'd have water again. We didn't have a hot water heater, but we had a stove, and I had big tubs, and so I would put a tub of water on the stove. I didn't have a washing machine either. I used one of those things you wash up and down with, a washing machine board, which is terrible, but you know what? I would wash them, and then I'd have the other tub. I'd get my water I washed in hot, but on the stove, and then I would wash the clothes, and then I would rinse them in the other tub, and then hang them. We had a clothesline out back. We didn't have no dryer. No way, Jose. So we would hang our clothes out back, and there was a cherry tree back there in that backyard. We enjoyed that house. Buddy was still working, and he was working long shifts in the bakery for Mr. Johnson. And he wasn't home much. These are paintings I did a few years ago up there on the wall. I hang them everywhere. I got so many paintings. They're stacked out in the garage. I enjoyed it while it lasted. Life is phases, children. And this fella that said the other day I was his hero because I've got all these subscribers, and I thank God for you. But he's old me, 80 years old, and I forget his exact YouTube name, but he's fun to watch, and I watch him. And he decided when he was 80 to go on YouTube. So he planned it for 3 months. He keeps a journal, he does all this. I mean, he planned, and he got monetized in no time short. I mean, he was a success coming out of the gate. And I'm proud of him. He did good because he's a planner. Grandma is not a planner. I didn't plan anything. The Lord just did it. I cannot take credit. But he can take credit because, and the Lord helped him. He's a Christian. He reads his Bible every morning and he does his journal, and he's meticulous about what he does. Grandma is not meticulous, and I am not a Susie homemaker. Now, my friend who says Kentucky Life with Debbie, who I've been encouraging along, and I got tickled at her because she says, I'm not a Susie homemaker. But yesterday on her, what she did, she cooked. She didn't talk hardly any, but she just cooked soup beans out of a can. That's the way I cook them sometimes, right out of the can. Pinto beans or Great Northerns, whatever. And she fried some mushrooms, and she made cornbread, and she stirred that cornbread. I never stirred cornbread that long in my life, but I watched her all the way through, and it was fun. I told her, I said, you're doing great, girl. She's doing great, and she's got about 90-some subscribers now. When she started with zilch, but thanks to my friends and all your friends and everybody, we're bringing her right along. She changed the name of her channel, which I just kept getting after her because senioritis was not getting it done, and she minded. I'm older than her. My twins are about the same age she is, but she's a smart girl, and I call her girl. But she did good yesterday, and I laughed. She said, I'm going to make mine most of the time about 20 minutes, and I think that one run around 42 minutes. And her husband walked through the kitchen while he was there, and she's keeping it a secret from him, and that's okay. I don't care, but he might be proud of her. I don't know. But he just she says he is not fun. Well, we run into that with husbands quite a bit sometimes. James is usually fun, but the times come that he's not fun. Like when he's napping all the time. I like company sometimes. Well, I didn't get me anything to drink this morning. Okay, so we're in this shotgun house. And in the kitchen, there's a big hump hanging down. I don't know what it was. And the walls were really bad. So I bought me a lot of plaster of Paris. And so I just put that on the walls and painted it. I worked like crazy. And I tiled the floors. I put tile down in the floors. That house was ready to fall down when we moved into it. Fact is, they bulldozed it after we moved out, and that's an empty lot right there on Baird Street right now. We had a big shed in the backyard on the very back of the lot that used to be a garage for a horse and buggy. It's such an old house. And my brother-in-law would come and help Buddy work on his car in that shed. But the girls loved it because they had their own backyard. We had our own clothesline, and we had privacy, except for next door. Now, the next door neighbor, she had about 4 kids and a husband that was a tomcat, if you know what that means. He run around on her, and she caught him. So one time, you know what? I heard all this hollering going on, don't hit me, don't hit me. And it was Martha. She's dead and gone now, and so is Smitty. A lot of people I knew are dead and gone, and those kids grew up, and they may be dead and gone. But she was chasing him out the door and said, and don't you ever come back, and she had the broom, and she was beating him with it when she could catch him. And that really happened. And he didn't come back. And she went ahead and got her a divorce, and she made it on her own because she worked, and she raised them boys, and she got rid of him. And I run into him one time. He said, would you like to go out and get a cup of coffee? I said, Smitty, are you out of your mind? Because his name was Smitty. I said, you know good and well I don't do that kind of stuff. Well, he said, that's all I'd ask. It don't hurt to ask, I guess. And then there was another lady that lived that had varicose veins, and you could hear her at night crying with her legs. And that's about what I was doing recently with my leg, my one leg, because it hurt me so bad. You even, and so I got out of bed one night and I went over and I said, "Is there anything I can do?" She said no. She had a big sore on the back of her leg and they couldn't get it healed. I think she had diabetes, plus she had a big vein, and it was inside on her uh, uh, calf of her leg. And she says, it just hurts so bad, I just have to scream out in pain. She said, don't pay me no attention. So I went home. There was nothing I could do except pray for her, which I did. I don't know what happened to her. I think she moved into a nursing home because she was gone after that. So we lived in that shotgun house, and it would be so cold in the winter and so hot in the summer. It was not insulated whatsoever. In the summertime, me and the girls, Buddy would be working, we would go lay in the floor by the front door trying to get a breath of air. And one time we was sleeping there in the floor, and this really happened. They said that this house had been a whorehouse. And I found letters where it says, it was so good to see you, you come again when you can and stuff. In the attic, we found letters that did support that it was that. And also, I heard it had been a little church at one time. Also, that little building had been used as a church. So it had quite a history. Well, I tell you what, we was sleeping there in the floor that night on some blankets, and it was so hot you didn't need any cover. We just used a pad. And I had one cabinet, and it's one of those Hoosier cabinets, and that all my dishes was in it, what few dishes I had, and my glasses and stuff. And one night, I heard this awful racket, and it sounded like my cabinet had fell over and broke into a million pieces. Well, I jumped up and I ran to the kitchen and looked. Nothing. My cabinet was fine. Where that noise come from or what made it, I don't know. But it was real. And I don't believe in ghosts and stuff, really. But that was an awful racket, and I was just almost sure my dishes were done for. So this morning I'm at my house, and no cats. And I miss that cat. But yesterday when I was doing my live, Big Tom had to get right in the middle of it. And there he was. And I'm not doing any more lives. They're just too complicated for me. I just have to... 967 Andy told me one time, he said, look, it's working. Don't change anything. Just keep using your iPad and talking to friends and telling them what's going on. Now, he's growing his too because he wants to make a lot of money. Honey, it's not a big deal to me whether I make a lot of money or not. I'm 91. I got my Social Security, and it's not bad. It's from number 2. And he had this wonderful job, and he retired early. And when he passed away, you get married again, you still get your Social Security. A lot of people don't know that. But I have my own income, and I have a rental house. But I am making money on YouTube, which is amazing. And you know what? I've been going out to eat, and I can do things with it that I didn't think about. I can help the church. We give to our church, and we support God's work, and we help people when we can. And James does a lot of that. He really does. But then he's got a lot more money than I have. But I enjoy life, girls and boys, all you grandkids out there. And I'm thinking about these Mrs. Peach, Thrifty Living. I like her very much. I don't get to watch her all the time because I got too many people I want to watch, but I check in on her quite often. And she has a son-in-law that's a preacher, evangelist, and he goes overseas, Pakistan and India. And this morning at our church, and I streamed it, was a young man, and he goes to Pakistan. He was he's with an evangelistic association that goes over to Asia in a lot of countries and holds great big meetings. And his name, now what was his name? Joshua Wagner, I believe. And I was wondering if he might be Mrs. Peach's son-in-law, that because she has an evangelist son-in-law that goes all over and preaches, and I was going to get on her and make a comment and find out if that's him or not. Joshua Wagner. And he did a good job. I didn't hear anything new, but honey, when you're 91 and you went to church your whole life, okay, you've heard most of the sermons more than once, but it was okay, it was good. Let's see now, the number 2 house I moved into was on Silver Street, and they called it Brick Silver. And it was just down the street from my stepdad, who had a garage down the street. And he told me about it. And I needed $1,000 down to buy that house, and the price was around $6,500. And I was going to have to get a mortgage. So I went to the bank, and I found out that I could buy it. So I always did everything. But he didn't even know what was going on. He just worked all the time. So I took care of business. And we got that mortgage, and the payments was only like $33 a month. And we had been paying $28 for that house that was about to fall down. And he never rented it again. And that shotgun house got bulldozed. Gone. Just an empty lot. But we moved into this little 2-bedroom with hardwood floors, floor furnace, which is dangerous for a walking baby, which Kimberly was at that time. And she did step on it once and burned her little feet. I had to be really careful with her. She'd take her shoes off. She'd take her socks off. That girl was just always going to do her own thing. And she still does. She just texted me and said she bought her a sewing machine. $88 at the Walmart. That is very reasonable. And she bought a loom, and she's the pioneer woman, is what she's doing. She's got chickens, turkeys, dogs. They got 2 acres. I call it the farm. And I go out and visit her because she won't drive into town hardly unless her husband brings her. So I just drive out there and visit with her. And I'll be going there for Easter. And we'll have some Democrats there. But you know, stay kind is if they'll stay kind to me, I'll stay kind to them, and we will not discuss politics, and that's the law. We don't discuss it. I know how they feel, or do I? I don't know. I don't really know. I do not understand the woke generation. I'm just not a woke person, whatever that is. I'm old-timey. I believe in marriage before God. I believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and they can't change it. They might try. I have a granddaughter that has tried, and she could grow a beard, but she's still mine. She's still my grandchild, great-grandchild, and I still love her. And she changed her name, and she's still ours. And you know what? We love them for better or for worse, and we pray for them. Lord, speak to their hearts is my prayer. Speak to them. And I was listening to a Jewish man the other day that the Lord appeared to him and talked to him in person. Everybody has an empty in here, you know? You're longing for something. And there is no answer in this world. Money, fame. Look how many rich people, wealthy people, get on dope, take their own life, and get divorced, and don't stay married to the same person. I was watching about Willie Nelson, and he's a rounder, and it was a biography of him, and he's been married and he has kids, and some of his kids are very talented, but he just can't seem to be faithful to his woman, whoever he's got. My. You can look at it, it's on YouTube. I don't know how true it is. But I tell you what, I loved his singing, and I still do. That Willie Nelson is a real thing. Of course, he's not as good as Johnny Cash. I really like Johnny Cash. There is some bluegrass singers that I really like, too. And we got to watching some bluegrass, old-time bluegrass, because we used to go to bluegrass. And a lot of those people we saw in person, guess what? Gone. They went to their reward, wherever that is. Most of them are Christians. Most of them that sing gospel were Christians. But there was one gospel singer that uh, did not give his heart to the Lord. He was in a quartet till he was older, and then he did give his heart. I mean, he sang gospel music all his life, but he wasn't a Christian. I don't remember his name. Well, anyway, I'm just traveling on. Feel like traveling on. Yes, I feel like traveling on. My heavenly home is fair and bright, and I feel like traveling on. One time I told Buddy when we was in church, I said, he says, the old song leader said, is there any song you would like to hear? And I said, yes, I like that song. I feel like traveling on. Buddy told me later, he said, honey, don't be requesting that song. They'll think we're wanting to leave here real fast. And you know we don't want to think that we don't like them. I said, I just like the song. So I didn't request it anymore. That I feel like traveling. That means you feel like you're traveling on in this life till you get to heaven. And I still feel like traveling on for a while yet. Don't know when the Lord's going to call us home. And that goes for everybody. We don't know. But it's in his hands, and our trust is in him. And I'm going to go get that Doppler Wednesday at 12:30. And you know my leg has not given me any more trouble. Somebody touched God for me. Let me tell you about that second house we moved into. That's where I'm at now. Excuse me, my nose is itching. I got napkin. Anyway, that second house we moved into had a floor furnace. But guess what? I could afford a washer and dryer. So I went to Sears and I got me a washer and dryer. They delivered. We had a little back porch on that house, and you could have water hookups and everything and dryer hookups. And I had a washer and dryer. And I went to Sears and I bought it on time. I didn't ask Buddy. I just did it. I handle the budget. So I had a washer and dryer. Talk about one happy little old woman. Kim was about 14 months old or 15 months old. But what a blessing to have a washer and dryer. Well, Buddy got fired. What do you do then? I mean, you know, so we couldn't make our payments. And I didn't know what to do. So I called Sears and I told him, I said, is there any way I could just pay as I get it for this washer and dryer, because I don't want to give it up? And you know what? They said yes. You never know if you don't ask. The Bible says you have not because you ask not. So it don't hurt to ask, even if the answer might be no. Of course, it could be yes. So they said yes. So I figured out a way to make some more money by letting my brothers move in, David and Tommy, and they helped us some. We had to end up asking them to leave. How we asked them to leave, Buddy got so fed up with them that he said, are you going to tell them to leave? I said, I can't hardly tell them to leave. So you know what he did? He just boxed up their things. One was sleeping on the couch, the other on the floor, and he just put them out on the front porch. We had a little front porch there, like a stoop. He said, you boys can't live here anymore. This is too much for Clarine. And he took care of me. And so one of them joined the Marines, Tommy did, and David went to live with his sister and got him a job at Pillsbury, which I helped him get. And he retired from Pillsbury. David is still here, and he got cancer of the throat. And he was alcoholic, and he knows it. He was a beer alcoholic, not a whiskey, but he would, and he worked every day at Pillsbury. But he'd come home at night, and he would drink a bunch of them. He used to make big money just on his cans. But my mom prayed for David many years. God, deliver him from alcohol. Deliver him. Well, she's dead and gone for a long time ago when she was 85. And she had poor health. And anyway, me and my sister helped take care of her. But David got cancer of the throat. Now, David was always good-hearted. He was always good-hearted. And but he wasn't a Christian, and he didn't live for Jesus. He went to church some, but he didn't give his heart truly to the Lord. But guess what? When he got throat cancer, he couldn't swallow anymore. But he got so dedicated. He gave his heart to the Lord. He is in good shape today. He's still living, and he loves to tell jokes. Now, he can't swallow regular food, but the Lord healed his throat enough that he don't have to carry a can and spit in it anymore. When your throat gets all stopped up like that, you have to carry a can because you're going to have saliva all the time. Buddy had to be fed in his stomach the last 6 months of his life, and I took care of him right here. But he had to have something to spit in right beside his bed all the time because he was fed through the stomach, and that's the way David was for a long time. I run into him at the Walmart. He's so strong, Democrat, you can't hardly talk to him. He thinks Trump is the devil himself. Well, now, I didn't care for Biden, but I didn't think he was the devil himself just because he was a Democrat. But he thinks that of Republicans. We don't discuss, politics. So I went to visit David sometime back. It's been a good while now. And as he badmouthed Trump, I just said, what? Is that what you think? I'm not going to get into it with him. And I didn't. So anyway, David is a true born-again Christian, and they're having the high school reunion in May. And my brother Denny told me that David will be there. So David always comes with some corny jokes. And he'll be telling corny jokes, and maybe I'll film some of his corny jokes. Who knows? So I'm going to tell all y'all bye. It's been fun telling about my houses. But that little house, then I'll have to tell you the next house, which is here, how I got it and how I moved into it. And when we moved here, it was a true miracle of God that we could get a 3-bedroom brick house with a bathroom and hot running water and good electric and a wide hallway, a good driveway, and I had a garden in back that the Tribune once came and took pictures of my corn because I planted field corn. That's not the right kind. You're supposed to plant sweet corn. I wasn't that smart. But it went so tall, they came and took pictures of it right here in town. So I've enjoyed living here at this house since 1963. Now, this apartment we built in the back, and it's just a little 1-bedroom apartment with a living room, kitchen combination, and it's crowded, and I can hardly be a Susie homemaker here. But one of these days, I'm going to cook my soup beans like I do. And I'm going to do like, Kentucky Life with Debbie, like she did. She did real good, and I thought she set a real good example. And I think I could do what she did. Honey, you're teaching me things. I can still learn. And if you watch her, you'll see how she did that. She didn't have to do a lot of talking, a lot of showing. She just did it. And I can do that. Put my iPad and just let it look. So I'm going to make my soup beans and cornbreads one of these days. Show you how I do it. So I'll talk to y'all later. Walk that path where Jesus would be pleased with you. And I've had a good morning. And my goodness, 28 minutes. Oh, and I wanted to say, kiddos, I don't want to do any more live. The Wi-Fi is not good at his house, and that's usually where I have to end up doing it. I'll do like Andy said. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this is doing good. I know a lot of people like to see the live, but I tell you what happens. I get distracted, and I can't even remember what I'm talking about because I'm so excited to see you all. Well, hello there, hello there. Fact is, Helen in Georgia, I watch her sometimes, and it is very distracting, so I'm just not going to do it anymore. It just don't work for me. I'm sorry, not too sorry, but it just didn't work out. So if it don't work out, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it ain't broke. I'm enjoying it just like I started over a year ago, talking to all my new friends out there. Oh, and Cindy, Cindy sent me the most beautiful Easter card, and I had it handy. But honey, that was so sweet of you. Thank you so much, Cindy. I just love it. It has such a beautiful verse in it and everything. And she was early. She got her Easter card here early. I think she did that before. But thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. I appreciate all y'all and your comments. We do like reading your comments, and I try to respond to most of them. Some of them I just put the heart, because I don't really have a good response. But I love you. God bless you. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.